Hey everybody, welcome back to What I've Seen Lately. This is day 4, and as I grab my notes here, this one is going to be uh, really interesting to talk about because it involves my favorite filmmaker of all time, that being Akira Kurosawa, and that film being Redbeard, which was co-written and directed by Akira Kurosawa, released in 1965, I believe, yeah. Starring once again Toshiro Mifune, as he plays a doctor named Redbeard. He has many clients that are struggling with illness and are financially not stable. They're much more of a lower class and living in poverty. Um, a young doctor comes in to fill in for another doctor, and initially, the doctor is, taken aback because he was meant to be working with someone else, a Shogun assistant, I believe, or show assistant to a Shogun doctor. And Toshiro Mifune's character teaches him, the ropes of, dealing with patients and ultimately developing a selfless desire to serve and showing him the power of kindness and ultimately the rewards of portraying kindness, which is having much more of a heart than that of a shell. They're just being that of broken pieces. What's very fascinating about Redbeard is, as I mentioned up top, it was the last time that Akira Kurosawa worked with Toshiro Mifune, after which they had a fallout. Mifune wanted to elevate his career by going into different lines of work, where Kurosawa was more hesitant on that and was basically telling him that I don't think that that's the right path for you. And what followed after that was Mifune went to do what he did and worked on more mainstream work, and I believe his career kind of fizzled out after that point. He did a series called Shogun, which I believe garnished some recognition in North America. But Kurosawa went on to do other work, but he became real depressed and actually ended up almost taking his own life. And the reason I bring all that up is because the film is surprisingly darker than what Kurosawa usually does. With Kurosawa's films, they range thematically speaking, but in terms of overall style, there is something of an adventurous and spirited approach to each of his distinct ideas. But this, though, there is a greater emphasis on tone and dread, and there's a air of death that surrounds the film, and a lot of commentary about death, about how one chooses to leave this world, whether that being in natural means or from their own personal means. There's a lot of commentary surrounding that, as well as commentary surrounding that of poverty and how the government doesn't help in assisting the poor, and how the struggles within such situations. There's a very haunting atmosphere to it, and it's continuously captivating. I mean, aesthetically, it also matches that. It's very ghostly, but also very lush. The frames, provoke that of something of like a horror film. And there's also a level of tenderness to it that builds, particularly with its score, which I think is very majestic. And with its ensemble, you get, just really great performances all around, but a level of subtlety, that of which the aura also has, that creates more depth and more wakefulness to the ideas being presented. It is noticeably long, and the characterizations are a bit thin. I mean, ultimately, it is, kind people doing kind things. It's selfless individuals. So there isn't much, there isn't more gray, to be represented within the characters, which I believe that the tone is ultimately trying to push across this idea of what am I trying to say? Kind of the showing the two sides of the same coin sort of thing. Because it's a film that is occupying a lot of ideas, and it's a film mostly about ideas, particularly that of death and how, again, how one chooses to leave this world, and ultimately, um, um, kindness and selflessness. These ideas are all packaged within Redbeard, and it's just very interesting knowing what happened after Redbeard with Kurosawa and seeing the film that we have here and the emphasis on certain things. It's very telling and very quite unnerving when you consider some of the stuff that happened afterwards. But it's a film that works really well on its subtleties. A really great performances all around. The aesthetics are great. I think that, like I said, it is noticeably long, and I do think that in terms of developments, it is not as rich as its ideas, but it's still very captivating and very, very, very involving. It's not as strong as some of his other work, admittedly, but it is still as investing. And I still found myself very much enjoying of it. And at one point, I did end up tearing up because of the development of a certain character that I think was given the most merit or given the most meat. And there came a point where this character, kind of develops further, and this development teared me up a little bit. So it's surprisingly darker. It's a lot darker than I thought it would be. And it's carrying a lot of the greatness that Kurosawa possesses as a filmmaker. It is a little bit long, and I wish that there was a little bit more substance to its characterizations. But it's still really, really good. I still really, really enjoyed myself. I do find myself, though, in some ways understanding of the film by what happened afterward, and thinking of that is kind of startling, considering, where Akira Kurosawa's mind might have been when making the film. So it's very, very good. So those are my thoughts on Redbeard. I really love Kurosawa. I think he's a fantastic filmmaker. Like I said, my favorite of all time. But you guys let me know your thoughts on Redbeard if you guys have seen it in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for me, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And we got day 5 tomorrow. And this film, I think this one is a kind of a fan favorite in mainstream culture. So stay tuned tomorrow. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.